The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. This is Dave Hondel. Our guest tonight is one of the biggest names in rock music and is part of one of the most legendary bands to ever hit a stage. It's our honor to have on the show Mr. Bruce Hall of REO Speedwagon. Thank you so much for being with us, Bruce.
It's nice to be here, Dave. Very cool.
I know you're from Champaign, Illinois, which is a college town, and I also grew up in a Big Ten town, Minneapolis. And, I know when you grow up in a college town like that, there's a lot of, bars, parties, and, a lot of opportunities to play music if you're a musician. So was that kind of the case for you when you were growing up?
Of course, yes. I was born and raised in Champaign, Illinois. And when I was a teenage boy, there was it was right after the Beatles came to America. It seemed like every kid I knew wanted to learn how to play music. And I was lucky because music is part of my family. My father was a saxophone, clarinet player, very, very good at what he did. And all my brothers, it just runs in the family. My brothers all play music. I play music. Mom used to sing with the Sweet Adeline.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just to be a part of that. So when I was a kid, there were lots of bands, so many bands. And Champaign was like one of the best places besides Chicago, where there were lots and lots of opportunities for boys, especially, to get involved with music. And so I've been doing this since I was 13. I strapped on a bass and I haven't put it down since.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I know that, a lot of kids, young kids especially, they like to pick up the 6-string guitar. I mean, the guitar, kind of shred, as they say. So what kind of attracted you to the bass guitar? Because I think that the bass is so cool, and I actually tried to pick it up myself at one point, and it's a lot more difficult than I thought. So why did you pick up the bass, and how did that admiration for that instrument come?
Well, I first started on a guitar. I first learned to play on a guitar. My mother's brother, my Uncle Lyle, he passed away, but he was a guitar player, and he left his guitar with my grandmother. And I was about 13, and I asked my grandma if I was wanting to learn how to play. I hadn't learned how to play yet, and she let me use those guitars. So I learned how to tune the thing, and I got some Beatle books, and the Beatle books had these little, they would show these little boxes with how to make the chords above. I knew how the songs went, and I just didn't know how to make the chords. So I did that and I had what they call a Mel Bay guitar chord book, which showed the fingers, how to put the fingers on the neck. And I just strummed and strummed until my fingers were, I was blisters all over my hands. I couldn't stop. I was obsessed. So that's how I first learned how to play. And then my first band that I was in, Purple Haze, we had a kid who was the bass player, and I was just kind of playing guitar a little bit, but mostly singing. And he got stage fright so badly. Our first gig, he didn't turn on his amp, and he played with his back to the crowd. And we went, we can't have this. Sorry, but you have to go. So I just kind of gradually, I picked up bass guitar. Yeah. And I'm glad I did, because for one, I've got kind of big hands, so it's easy for me. Yeah. And I like the way, I was influenced by Paul McCartney a lot in the early days. And I love the way he played melodies through everything. Sure. And that was one thing I really liked about it the most. So I got to become a bass player. It just kind of happened. It just kind of fell into my lap.
Well, and you arguably grew up in some of the greatest times in music. I mean, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I know you already talked about Paul McCartney and the Beatles. And, what was your biggest influence, I guess, growing up through the years and through that time frame? I mean, what was your biggest influence in music?
Well, it was the whole 60s thing. It was, before that, my mom's brother and sister, my aunt and uncle, Elvis was a little before my time. I was alive, but I was still very little. Yeah. And, but then there was the girl groups, the Chiffons, and all these bands that were so good. And so I got a big taste of what music was before Beatles actually came to America. because that blew the lid off everything. That really did. The Ed Sullivan Show, people talk about that, but it was like, a spaceship landed on Earth and these people walked out and it was a brand new world. We just grabbed it. And we were so hungry for, in that time of your life, you're just kind of entering puberty and you're kind of trying to figure out what's going on.
What you want to do. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. And so me and some of my friends started bands. And we knew that, the girls liked it. So that was a big thing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That was one of the big motivations in the beginning, but it became, I don't know if it's like this for everybody, but I know for me, it was once I found it and I practiced and I got better at it, I couldn't think hardly of anything else. I mean, that's all I wanted to do. I loved sports. I did a lot of sports in school, but there came a time when I had to make a decision as I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
And so music kind of was where
took
I went.
Over. Yeah. What was I guess going through like that time frame and learning, being in like a high school band, I guess, or, band and playing parties and playing for your friends and all that, when did it become more of a serious obsession with you? I mean, as far as, becoming more of like, that's what I want to do as a career. That's what I want to do when I grow up, so to speak. I mean, when was that for you?
It seems like for me, I never really had a plan B. I never wanted to do anything else. It seemed like music chose me.
Yeah.
I just kind of, when I discovered it and I was playing I never stopped playing. I mean, I was playing all the time and there was different bands that I was involved with. A lot of the early ones, I started with my friends in school, but then I started playing in a second band with older guys. They were in college and I was still just starting high school, and that was fun.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was always just something that I loved, and it not only loved it, but I was obsessed with learning more about it, how to play better, what amps sounded best to me, what guitar I wanted to play. In fact, my favorite bass that I still have, that I use every night on stage, I call her Butter. She's my Butter bass, and she is. She's been with me since I was 15 years old.
You're kidding me. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. Because I saw your collection of basses on an interview that you did. And isn't it funny how you go back to the old Reliable, the one that you started with? That's crazy.
Well, I'm glad that I still have her because she just was, we just get along great.
Yeah.
My girlfriend.
That's awesome. Getting into REO Speedwagon, I mean, how did that introduction to REO Speedwagon go? Because I know that you joined the group in the late 70s. They had previous bass players. So how did that go and how did that come about, I guess?
Well, that's in one of my early bands, Feather Train. We were looking for a guitar player. Our guitar player that at the time he was in college, and his parents, I think, wanted him to study more, and he had to leave. And so we found this guy from Peoria. His name was Gary Richrath, and Gary came, and that's how I met Gary. He joined our band in Champaign, and he wasn't in the band very long, but we became good friends. And he told me, well, there was a REO Speedwagon. There was an REO Speedwagon, but Gary wasn't in the band yet.
Okay.
And because everybody starts out doing the same thing. We all play bars and we play the fraternities and sorority parties and, this and that. But Gary was different. He really wanted to try to be more than what he was being presented there in Champaign-Urbana.
Yeah.
And he said, one of these days, you and I are going to get back together, and we're going to play together again. When he left, because he left my band, Feather Train, to join REO Speedwagon.
Okay.
Back in the day, gosh, that was by 1969, I think.
Wow.
1970, something like that. And then he sure was. He was just becoming more and more good. He was getting better at what he was doing, and he was becoming a songwriter.
Yeah.
And he took REO Speedwagon. It was basically Gary who grabbed the REO Speedwagon and turned them into a band that their first album. They wouldn't have gotten that had it not been for Gary, because he came in with all these great guitar chops, and he could write great songs, and he was a great showman. He was very good at what he did. And what year was it? January of 1977.
Wow.
He calls me up. I'm playing a band, Jesse Ross band. We were playing at a place called Ted's Warehouse in Charleston, Illinois.
Okay.
And I'm taking a break. It was wintertime, and I'm taking a break because we play 45 minutes and then 15-minute break. So he calls. I get a phone call. Gary's on the phone. He goes, in 2 weeks, he says, you got to get out to LA. He didn't even ask me if I wanted to join the band.
He just told you.
He just told me. He said, you got to get yourself together and you get out here to LA. We got practicing to do, and then we got to do some gigs. Okay.
Okay.
That's it. So I told my band I was in at the time, guys, I'm done here. I got to move. And I took off. And I've been doing this ever since.
It never looked back.
Never looked back. I moved to Los Angeles, and we started just working on, but the thing is, I knew all the guys in the band because we're all from Champaign.
You're all from the same city, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were from different cities, but it was because of the University of Illinois.
Right.
They were students, and it was just happened like that so fast.
Yeah. One of the things I admire the most, I think, of the band is the fact that you guys never wavered from your sound. Although 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s, genres of music have kind of taken over throughout the decades, as we all know. But you never changed your sound, yet you kept your base, you kept your fans, and not only did you keep your fans, but you kept growing your fan base throughout the changes in music. So talk about the longevity that you guys have had, and what do you think contributed to that longevity?
Well, that's a good question, because we knew for a fact that you had to, in order to become successful, you had to establish a following. And so you had to learn how to do that. You had to play great every night. A lot of clubs and places didn't want you to play original songs. So you just started sneaking them in.
Yeah.
And you had to be good. They had to be good songs. And so doing that, and slowly but surely you start getting people to come back every time you go to town. And back in those days, we would play, you play the same places about once every week or 2 weeks, the same clubs over and over and over again. So you start getting following, and then you try and get them. You play Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio. We go down to Missouri, St. Louis, and just start growing this thing. And in the same time, trying to write good songs. And Casey in St. Louis, Missouri, they became our friends, and they started playing some of the early songs. And that helped a lot, because then you start getting airplay. Right. And once you get airplay, then people start going, whoa, these guys are famous.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that helped a lot. So we just built this thing from the ground up. And so we didn't have to change our sound because when the people came to see us, they knew what to expect. And we're lucky they stayed by us.
Well, did you see, speaking of that, and over the years, you've played some of the same venues. Do you see some of the same faces? And not only that, but I would imagine that they're introducing your music to their children, and then they're going to introduce it to their children, and so on and so on. So how does that feel to be, to see this kind of evolution, I guess, of your band throughout the years, and that is continuing to be multi-generational? That
is, I love that. I really do. It's exactly right. We've got friends all over the country. We've known them forever, and we've met some of these people. Brought their kids when they were little, and now the kids are older and have their own kids. So yeah, it's been a great. I don't know how I got so lucky. I've been able to do what I love, and meet a lot of great people along the way. And I don't. One thing that's always amazed me is how a song that you start by yourself and you work on it by yourself, then you show it to the band, and the band takes it, and we change it a little bit always and tweak it into whatever an REO Speedwagon is going to be. And then if you're lucky enough, it makes a record, and then the record goes on the air, and then your song has become a part of their life. Right. And when you go to a concert from our vantage point and you see people singing your song back at you.
Right.
It's like this
that you created. Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's amazing. I'll never forget how that felt. The first time I saw that happen, I was going, yeah. And so we kind of think that these songs that we play, really, they started with us, but they belong to everybody. They belong, yeah, because it's become a part of people's lives. They really do become part of the fabric of a person's life.
100%. I mean, I can vouch for that because I've been an REO Speedwagon fan my whole life. And, in fact, when I went to shows back when I was younger, I was at the St. Paul Civic Center. I want to say it was, some of those old venues that don't exist anymore, but it's just, growing up, that was part of my life. But, now as the band is, continuing on, I mean, obviously, the band has their own families and, throughout those years. And so how is that feeling for you as a band member to get up on the stage, but maybe some of the people's kids are in the backstage, or maybe they're at the shows. And I mean, is it kind of nice to be able to kind of include the family members in your experience, I guess? Yeah,
sure. Me personally, I love to have my family with me. I like having and guys, my daughters are older now. We're much older. But I have a boy. My son Timmy is 15, and my stepson Tommy just turned 24. They all come out, and my wife comes out. But this is hard for people to understand: is that when you're on the road, it feels like it's going to be a ball, right? And sometimes it is, but it will wear you down fast. I don't know how me and the guys in my band have done this, but we figured out it comes naturally that you can do the road and it doesn't burn you out too fast. I mean, if you're out there for like 4 weeks straight, then you get, it's the traveling that makes you tired, but the shows are so much fun. That's the fun part. But yeah, it's because after a week or so, my family goes, oh, we got to go home. This is tough. And so we're some kind of crazy gypsy hobo people.
Well, I suppose after you've been doing it for so many years, you kind of get used to the ups and downs and so forth. But it's just so nice to be able to experience that with loved ones and family as you get older. And so I think that's awesome.
Right. And my son comes out when he was little. He played drum. We had a little drum. He'd play out a Roll with the Changes next to me. Yeah. And my wife and my boy, they'll come out and sing Roll with the Changes, the chorus at the end. Yeah, it's fun.
That's incredible. It's so cool. The other thing I wanted to ask you is the streaming generation that we're in right now. I mean, music obviously has evolved greatly since you started. And I mean, you cut an album or, even 8 tracks where they are cassettes, CDs. And now we're in a streaming generation of everything's digital at your fingertips and social media and streaming like Spotify and all the other ones. And so what are your thoughts of that evolution, and how has that either helped or changed, I guess, the way you guys, go forward with your music and the business piece of it?
I find streaming to be, it's so amazingly convenient as far as getting a song. I mean, who would have thought that you could do that back, gosh, even in the 80s and 90s? I mean, that's when it kind of started happening, Napster and all that. But honestly, that is an amazing thing that any song you can think of, you can almost find immediately. But at the same time, there's one thing I miss a lot, and this is from a recording person's view, is that it used to be when you would make an album, it wasn't just the music, it was the whole package. There was an album cover and a back of a cover. And there were things that these notes, liner notes you'd put in and all the kinds of things that you would put to make the album, to put it out. Yeah. And so when you stream songs, you get them immediately, but you don't get all the extras that come with it.
Right.
I think people are I know I miss that.
I do too.
It's sad.
I miss going to the store and actually looking for your album, the new one. And there's nothing like that, right?
Yeah, it's not anymore. There's not. I could spend all day at a record store. I used to do that all the time. But yeah, that's a sad thing, is that when you're able to just find it and get it so quickly, sometimes you like the song, but you don't know who played on it. You don't know who wrote it, and that's a big part of understanding the music, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of collectors out there that collect vinyl and collect, one of the things that I think they love the most of that is to see who did write the song. And the liner notes, I think, are super important when it comes to every song. Like, who wrote it, who produced it, who engineered it, the whole thing. Because there's a lot of people that go into the making of a song. It's not just, the people who sing it or play it. It's, it's the whole production of it.
Engineers, producers, even background singers, and people you bring in to play like conga parts or rhythm things. There's all these little things that if you hear the song you like it, that's great, that's fantastic. But you're kind of missing out if you don't know who the people were that were the participants, the people that actually made the record.
Yeah. So, Bruce, getting back to when you were younger, that 13-year-old that picked up the guitar, there's a lot of 13-year-olds now that are just picking up a guitar and who may want to do this as a business or get into it as a career. And so what would your biggest advice be for somebody just starting out?
That's a good question. I would think, gosh, the trails, the maps that we used back in the day, I don't even know if they work anymore. For one, you have to, if you're going to be a musician, you have to take the time to learn how to play your instrument and do it well. You have to learn how to, it takes time, and you have to be dedicated to practice. So that's one thing. The other part is you got to find people who play too. I mean, I know that like in school bands, there's lots of kids who play horns and this and that and drums. And a lot of times I think it's those kind of kids who maybe get together and they'll form jazz combos, but I've never heard them really, too many of them getting together and starting like, it doesn't have to be rock. Heck, it can be just any kind of music that feels right to them, really. And that's another thing, right? Learning how to write music. It's not easy. Learning how to put together and craft a song is, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
Yeah, it takes time. And usually if you have somebody to collaborate with, it makes the process even more fun, and you kind of bounce off each other and you learn how to arrange. And then the art of learning how to record.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. So
and that's changed as well over the years, right?
Changed as well. Yeah. Now people can do a lot in their own home, whereas you used to have to go to a whole facility where there was, big machines, and gosh, but that was part of the fun. That was part of the fun. Getting all set up to record, tuning drums and putting baffles and mics in the right places and making it all just, guys, it was exciting.
Yeah. Over the years, you've obviously have had several shows and been on the road. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you as a band through the years? I mean, was there one memorable moment, I guess, that you can share?
Oh, well, there's a lot I can't share. There's a memorable one. Let's see. Well, there's always been, whenever we used to have opening acts that used to travel with us, like one would be like Survivor was one. Survivor, and they always, the last show of the tour, we would do something to prank them. We'd do something silly, silly. We go on the stage and hit them with silly string or something, just during their show. Now, that's not the craziest thing that we've ever done, but that's one of the things that everybody used to do, things like that. Now, these days, I don't think bands do that anymore, because the last show of the tour is going to be, it's kind of a sad farewell, but at the same time, you want to do something to make it fun.
Right,
so,
right.
And you're not going to see these guys the next day anyway. So you go, let's prank them. Let's do something fun. And so we used to do all kinds of silly things, but that wasn't, as far as a memorable. Well, I mean, we did a lot of fun, cool things. I mean, we did Live Aid, and we've done,
wow,
that was cool.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was big. It was huge. It was so gigantic. And that show we did it in the morning. We were kind of tired. I remember we played the night before, and Paul Schaefer was there helping us with keyboards. Yeah. And we had the Beach Boys helping us sing, and who else was up there? It was great. It was so much fun. And then it was over like that. And then we had to go we went off to another gig. We played that
Another
night.
gig, yeah. Well, Live Aid was huge, and I know that so many people were involved in that, and what an honor to be able to be involved with that. Actually, the other thing I wanted to talk about is a lot of bands are having farewell tours, or they have in a lot of recent years, and I know Whitesnake's on their farewell tour right now. But have you guys ever thought about that? I mean, is there plans to wind down at any point, or are you just going to keep going until you're done?
I think we're just going to keep going. I mean, honestly, I don't think we've talked about, and plus a lot of these guys, these farewell tours, yeah, they say goodbye. And
For
then,
now.
Yeah, for now.
Until
And then
it's
they're
over,
back 2 years later.
Yeah.
Come on already. Yeah, that seems to me like a cheap shot. I hate to say it, but
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so I don't know if we'll ever, I mean, we'll have to at some point, but I don't see it happening soon.
As long as you can do it, why not, right?
I can't. I know. Neil Dowdy, our keyboard player, just turned 76 yesterday.
Wow.
He's getting up there. That's no young pup.
But he can still play. That's what counts.
I know.
That's amazing.
Playing live is fun. It's just a ball.
It looks like it. I was watching some concert footage the last couple of days, and just watching you up there singing Back on the Road Again. I mean, just all these different really cool songs, and just you just look like you're having so much fun out there, and I just I can't say enough about me as a fan and just everybody that experiences that. I mean, you just bring us to a different place. It's just amazing. Speaking of watching these concert shots here and concert videos, I mean, what is that one venue that you just love going to? I mean, is there one special venue, and what makes it special?
It's called Red Rocks in Colorado.
Everybody says that. That's
awesome.
Awesome.
Something else. It's because it's a natural audit. It's an outside. It's the most amazing, coolest thing. And then the dressing rooms and catering and everything is inside the mountain. It's like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's all natural too. It's not been. It's just. It was built. It was formed for this. It feels like, or whoever found it, they knew what they were going to do with it. Yeah. And we played there a lot of times. It's always great. What
is there a place that you guys have always wanted to play and just haven't had that opportunity over the years?
I think we've played everywhere.
I'm pretty sure.
I think we've played just about everywhere, almost every country. Well, there's a couple countries we haven't played in France, of all things.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we haven't played Australia. We played New Zealand, and we haven't played in Russia, of course. But in Africa, no, we were going to one time, but we've been all over the place. I mean, I swear we have played. I mean, if it's in the United States, we have been. We've probably played in people's backyards.
Yeah,
I know. We've been around for. Oh, I mean, I've been in this band. I joined in 1977. It's 40 years. A long time. And we never stop touring. That's all we do. We tour and we record, not as much as we used to, but we just take breaks and then we get back together and off we go.
Yeah.
We don't know what else to do with ourselves.
This is what you're meant to do. Yeah. Well, you guys do it so well too. The other thing before we go, I asked this of all my guests, but I'm going to ask you as well. I mean, your legacy in the music is certainly cemented in greatness, but for you as a person, Bruce, what do you want people to walk away with when they think of Bruce Hall?
Bruce Hall. Well, I think the first thing people will say about is that he's a nice guy. And and
absolutely.
I think I like that. I mean, I'm pretty good about that. I mean, sometimes I'm too nice, but that gets in trouble too. But yeah, I think, and I care about people, and I care about how, I just know that I feel good about helping others. That's for sure. And my wife and I really are like that. When this COVID thing hit America and the whole world, we worried about our crew more than anybody. I'm going, these guys, I mean, the guys in the band, we've done all we're doing fine. But the crew are the guys that don't have anything to fall back on so much. So we did, I started doing these things called cameos. I don't know if you've heard of cameos.
I have. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we do, gosh, I've done over 100 of these things now. And so all the proceeds from that, we would gather up and we would send we know that the crew likes certain kinds of pizzas from Chicago. and you can send them anywhere in the country, frozen in these boxes. So we send them off these things, and we do anything we could to make them feel like that we loved them and that they were not forgotten and we had their back.
Right.
And so that made me feel like $1 million because I just wanted them to know that I cared about them.
Right.
So I think that's just kind of who we are here in my family. And I think hopefully as time goes by, people will think that he was a pretty good songwriter, sang okay most of the time. But more than anything, I think they think I was a nice guy, a good man.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Thank you, Bruce, for that. I can't say it enough. Thank you so much for being on my show. It was an honor for me. I've been a fan for years and continue to be a fan. And, so I truly appreciate you taking the time to be on my show tonight, Bruce. And I wish you nothing but the best, in the rest of your tour. And I know you guys are leaving at the end of this week. So for some more dates, and we can't wait to see you live again. So thank you, Bruce, again for joining us.
Sure, Dave. This has been fun. Let's do it again sometime.
Thank you so much to our audience for listening to the Stage Door Show on iHeartRadio. Your support means everything. And always remember to support your local independent artists.